Hail peeps, I am back. Today we're just gonna be ranking the DCU films, and overall, let me give like an overview. The DCU started with Man of Steel, and we got to, I think the DCU, for me, I understand there's a lot of people who criticize how it was started. I didn't. I was always one, I didn't mind how they got to Justice League. I didn't need a shitload of solo movies, because I'm going to say it. I think the MCU, and this is actually going to be a separate video I'm going to eventually do, has kind of poisoned cinema in a way, because they've now poisoned that everything needs to be done this way. Oh, you got to have a bunch of solo films. No, I don't think you needed a bunch of solo films. I think it was, realistically, the issue was Warner Brothers. And I'm not going to rant on that too much, but I just got to mention that. Just, once they got rid of Snyder, I view the movies kind of dipped in quality. Because you're going to notice a lot of my top ones are pretty much all the Snyder ones. So, anyway, we're going to start. There's been 10 films. The 11th is going to be James Gunn's Suicide Squad, which I was okay with the trailer, but it felt too Guardians-y, just like I've been saying, an R-rated Guardians movie. And I hope it's not that, so. So we're going to start off with the last one. Number 10, Birds of Prey, or as I call it, Birds of Shit. This film came out last year. This was a horrible, this wasn't the that wasn't the Birds of Prey. That just was not. For one, it felt like they wanted to do, let's make it R-rated just so we can have them curse the whole time. And, what they did to Black Mask. Making him a joke and killing him in the end. What the fuck? And then Harley, oh my god. How much they they kind of try to make her like Deadpool in this. It just didn't work. I know there's people who like it. I didn't. The biggest ruined character, though, was fucking Cassandra Cain. Because there's comics, she can beat, she's, gone toe-to-toe with Batman and shit. And she was, in this, she's just, Asian, she's female Short Round from Indiana Jones. She just is there to get saved, and all she is just a thief, a pocket thief. It's like, what the fuck? Why was Renee Montoya in this? Renee Montoya, A, wouldn't team up with villains, for one. Two, they had to push some cringy SJW, all the men are taking her credit for her work, even though in the actual comics, she's like Gordon's number 2, so she would probably be in charge of most of those dudes. But no. They fucked up Black Canary. Sorry, Black Canary isn't black. And aside from the Canary scream, you couldn't even tell that was Black Canary. This whole film was horrible. The fight scenes weren't good. Besides, I wouldn't even say it was good. It was okay. It was the scene where Harley was beating up people in prison. That was an okay fight scene. But everything else was horrible. And they made Harley look horrible. The costumes just looked like generic. None of the costumes actually looked like costumes. None of, there was no interesting design. Harley looked like a meth addict. Black Canary just looked like a chick from the 70s with those bell bottoms. And Black Canary's costume's, easy. You just gotta get a leather jacket, get, those motorcycle gloves, fishnet stockings, and boots, and, kind of like a corset-looking outfit. You're good. Fucking dumb. It's not like Superman or Batman where it's, an actual suit. It's just I don't know why they cheaped out on it. Anyway, so that's number 10, the worst of the DCU. Number 9, the second worst, is Wonder Woman 84, or as I call it, Wishmaster 84, just because it was about cringy wishes. The only positive was Gal Gadot is still good. Even with the shit she's given, her and Chris Pine have a decent chemistry. That's the only positive. Everything else was shit. Maxwell Lord doesn't make sense as a villain. He should have been the sympathetic villain, not fucking Cheetah. And Cheetah, oh my god. What did they do to my girl Cheetah? Cheetah is Wonder Woman. Honestly, I talked to somebody and I agree. Cheetah should have just been the main villain. You didn't even need Maxwell Lord. It should have just been Cheetah. Cheetah is Wonder Woman's, as I said, she's Wonder Woman's Joker or Wonder Woman's Lex Luthor. Why are you making her like a sympathetic villain? She's fucking evil. And her fucking look when we finally see her transformed is awful. The CGI is awful. The fight scenes weren't good. That opening scene where Wonder Woman stopped the robbers was fucking shit. It was so cheesy. I don't know. And the whole Patty Jenkins saying, oh, we gotta get rid of her sword. It's like, why? Why? After, when I'm gonna get to that one later, when I get to Zack Snyder's Justice League, it was refreshing to see her with a sword again. It was just, I don't know why they thought that was a good idea. And the final fight was awful, and this movie shouldn't exist. Wonder Woman pretty much raped a guy, because I don't even want to explain how. It's dumb. And this movie felt like a Disney Channel plot with like, oh, I wish for this, and then obviously consequences happen, and then she has to unwish it in the end. It's very much I've seen this movie when I was a kid. Fuck off. That's not what I want with a Wonder Woman movie. It clearly seems like Patty was trying, and I'll rant about this too in a second. Patty wanted like to do the 70s Wonder Woman show, but the issue was this version of Wonder Woman wasn't introduced like that. So why is she like it's such a, and we're supposed to act like this is canon to BVS and not Man of Steel, BVS and no, man, it just doesn't work. Like, I don't buy that this is the same Wonder Woman from the first movie, or even the one that she's gonna end up being the one we see in BVS. It just doesn't work. And then the whole they did the 80s as a gimmick, just like Captain Marvel did the 90s as a gimmick. They should have just went full retard with it and played like 80s songs. Just no. They just half-assed it. So that's my number 9. This film is horrible, and to me is not canon. Number 8 is Justice League. This is the Justice League we got in 2017. So yeah, this is the one we got in 2017 that the studio mandated. Because, and we know the whole story, and that's how we got Zack Snyder's Justice League. Then this is what we got. Because the studio was so scared. Because the reaction to BVS wasn't like, it hit like $1 million. So, and it wasn't like, and they took maybe a few people saying, oh, it's too dark. So they're like, let's just make this an Avengers movie, get Joss Whedon, and he changed the whole movie, and this is what we got. What they did to Batman is the biggest egregious thing. When Superman, the biggest positive, and I'm going to get to that when we get to actual Justice League, is the fight between the team and Superman. That's like the only scene coming out of this movie people like, but he gets it ruined because he edits in like Superman telling Batman, does he bleed? Like, what the fuck? Why would he say that? And then like Batman, when Superman drops him, is like, something's definitely bleeding. It's like, fuck you. And then the biggest, worst one, when Superman shows up, this is what I call the Batman no-face, because he makes this like, with Superman shows, like, why the fuck is Batman doing that? Why are the team doing nothing but fucking bickering the whole time? That's all they were doing. And they made Aquaman just fucking surfer bro. And Flash was a goof who, I push people and run away. What the fuck, man? And Wonder Woman was just, and I'm not like some SJW, but she was just, it was just there so fucking, I'm gonna say it, so Joss Whedon could perv out. You know? It's just, it was dumb. And like Flash falling on her tits, which is a gag he did in Age of Ultron. Like, what the fuck, man? And then, like what they did, a Cyborg, just reducing him to just a cyber dude. in Justice League, which I'm gonna actually get to, my god, like, it's night and day, man. What they did to this movie, but there's at least, like, it's still the Justice League and Justice League in quotes, and and Superman. The lip, his return was cheesy. The random placement of the music. Steppenwolf was fucking awful. He was just like the British snobby guy. Oh my god. So this film is awful, but this to me isn't the worst DCU film because, like I mentioned, Wonder Woman 84 and Birds of Shit are worse. So now we are number 7. So number 7 is Suicide Squad, the one we got in 2016, or as a lot of people have been dubbing it lately, Studio Squad, because this was the film you were supposed... Because there's a movement out there to get the thing called the Ayer Cut, where this is an actual different version of this movie. Once again, Warner Brothers was reactionary, because this film came out like a little bit after BVS. They freaked out, and so they obviously were probably, the mandate was make this movie like Guardians. That's why, like in the movie, you have a lot of these songs that are just randomly placed in the fucking movie because it's trying to be like Guardians, but Guardians has a reason for the music to be there, and I don't know. But I will say this: I at the time was okay with it. I didn't love it, but I didn't know about the whole Ayer Cut stuff. And the other issue is Enchantress was not good. She should not have been the villain. And even David Ayer said it should have been more streamlined. It should have been like the Joker or somebody. And obviously they cut out a lot of Leto's stuff. And you could tell they were trying to have this movie be like Guardians. It just didn't work. But it was okay. It's an okay as like an entertainment thing. And it's not the worst DCU movie. It just isn't. I'll take it over Birds of Shit, Wishmaster 84, and fucking Justice League. So if I had a choice. So that's number 7. And I like the dynamic of the team. And I think this is the best Margot Robbie Harley, in my opinion, in terms of actual character. We'll see how she is in James Gunn's Suicide Squad, but I'm slowly kind of getting over them trying to make Harley like the center of the universe, and that's just not what her character was. So number 6 is Shazam. So a lot of people I've dubbed, I guess you would say this is the best non-Snyder DCU film. I would say Aquaman is, but it's kind of connected. So Shazam, here's the thing. I was okay with this. I wasn't like super hyped or anything when it was announced because I'm just not the biggest Shazam fan. And I was like, my biggest fear, I'm like, it's going to be super like MCU. And it really wasn't. I think in this aspect, it kind of beats out Aquaman, and I'm going to bring that criticism up, is this one, the stuff with his mom was really good. I like that stuff. It's just Sylvana was a weak villain. He's just blah. Like, I just can't really describe him. The fights weren't that great. I did like the stuff with him, but this is an example of a movie like Ant-Man, and I'm going to say it, the first Iron Man. The only thing carrying those movies, like with Ant-Man, is Paul Rudd. And then with Iron Man, it's Robert Downey Jr. And I think with this is the same thing. Zachary Levi is kind of the only thing that really carries this movie. Like, besides that, there's really not a lot to it. Like, the villain was blah. And I think it's kind of disappointing Mark Strong, who's actually a good actor, they just didn't do a lot with him. The final act wasn't that great. I mean, the Shazam kids were okay, but just that's why to me it's just not the best DCU movie. I just can't consider it. I don't have an urge to rewatch it. It works as like I can watch it and then I kind of move on. So it's not horrible, and like I said, but Zachary Levi is the only big thing that really carries it. So that's number 6. And before I get to my top 5. So my number 5, in my 5th place, that's close to top, is Aquaman. And I really like Aquaman, and I do think, like I said, Shazam beats it out, and it doesn't have that much MCU-y jokes. I think the middle of Aquaman does. That's my only, like... that's my only big gripe with Aquaman, is I just think that middle portion, it just gets too jokey. Black Manta was cool, but it does get a bit too jokey for my taste. But I do think the first act was really good. I liked learning about his people and him growing. And I actually dug his connection with his dad. And his dad was, I think, Tamir Morrison, who was Jango Fett. And I also like the final act. I think the final act with, like, the Atlanteans and war and all the creatures was cool. And I dug the fight between him and Orm. Orm was a decent villain. Orm wasn't, like, amazing, but he was alright. And I actually dug the costume. I dug, like, the visuals. But I just think it isn't, like... I can't call it amazing. I think if you just had the first act and the final act, I would. But I just think that middle portion just... it gets too jokey for my taste. I do like Aquaman's armor. And if Amber Heard, and I'm going to say this a lot more when I get to this, to my number one. If Amber Heard wasn't so, like, such a bitch and didn't do all the shit she did to Johnny Depp, I just, you know, and that's another topic, but I do like her as Mira. You know, she's okay in this. I don't love her as much in this compared to Justice League, actual Justice League, but I think she's alright in this as Mira. She's a piece of shit human being, so. But that's pretty much me going on about Aquaman. I think Willem Dafoe was good as Vulko. And yeah, so Aquaman's good. My number 4 is Wonder Woman. This movie came out in 2017 and was written by Zack Snyder. That is the biggest reason. I'm sorry, you're not going to fucking argue with me. It's night and day. It's because Zack and his wife wrote it, and I think somebody else wrote it, and Patty directed it. I'm sorry. There is a big difference between this and the Wishmaster 84. Sorry. It's there. But I'm not going to go on about that. I think Wonder Woman is good. I just think the third act, like I said, falls a bit. But I really love the opening, learning about her, kind of her dynamic with Hippolyta. I love the Amazons in this compared to the Wishmaster. I should have mentioned that more. How, like, I just... side rant. In Wonder Woman 84, the way the Amazons were depicted, they just seemed like they were super Olympians. That's it. They didn't come off as warriors. In this, they were actual warriors. And I really love, like, you know, the way it's shot. I love Diana in this. I love her dynamic with Chris Pine. I actually liked Chris Pine's death. I think it gets ruined a bit when you bring him back in Wishmaster 84. But he was good in this. I liked the fight scene. No Man's Land was fucking amazing. That scene was really good. It's just the third act falls a bit. And I think Ares... I wanted a big sword fight. You know, I wanted, like, a sword fight. I didn't want, like, a fucking just big seat, you know. It was cool, and I still think I like the movie. I just don't consider it, like, a lot of people's list, this would be number 1 or number 2. I think it's good, but it's not that good. But, yeah. Wonder Woman is really good. My number 3. Now we're in the top 3. Batman v Superman Ultimate Edition. This film, and like I said, my list was different, like, before Zack Snyder's Justice League, but this film was really good, and I love the dark takes on these characters. I like, if you look at Zack Snyder's Justice League, Man of Steel beat this movie, and Zack Snyder's Justice League is a big, like, trilogy, because we don't know if they're going to continue it or not, so you could look at it as a trilogy, and you, like, Zack was right. BVS was supposed to be like, this is the darkest point of these characters. Batman killing was supposed to be wrong. And I just think, unfortunately, I've said this before, I think BVS just came out at the wrong time. I've always said that. I just think it came out in the wrong time. Because the world, we were kind of getting dominated by Marvel movies, and and just everyone expected everything to be that tone. But, like, the warehouse scene was amazing. I love Superman's story. I love the realistic aspect about it. But I also love that, we got the Trinity together in the end. I understand people don't like Superman dying, but I thought it was executed well. I love the funeral, and I love what it sets up. And Warner Brothers fucked up by just cutting it 30 minutes out of it. That's also the problem. I think had they just released that Ultimate Edition, maybe we'll be having a different conversation right now. My number 2, which used to be my number 1, was Man of Steel. Man of Steel was, and objectively, and I'm just gonna spoil it. Obviously, Zack Snyder's Justice is my number 1, but I'll make an argument like, objectively, you can argue Man of Steel might be a better movie, but I love him equally. I'll explain why. But Man of Steel, just seeing this in the theater, and at the time too, I had my doubts because the last Superman movie we got was Superman Returns or Sleeping Pill Returns. It was I thought, like, I was pretty much saying, like, if Man of Steel is like that, I'm done with Superman as in film, because they don't want to ever do anything different. God damn, was I wrong. Man of Steel was fucking amazing, and to me, this is my 3rd favorite comic book movie. This is an amazing film, and I love the story of Superman, seeing him grow, the music. I love the portrayals. Krypton was fucking amazing. It was honestly probably that whole Krypton sequence is the best Star Wars movie we've had since Revenge of the Sith. I said it. My God, General Zod was an amazing villain, and I'm gonna probably do another video at some point where I rank the DCU villains. Zod's gonna probably be number 2. But yeah, Zod was great. Michael Shannon killed. All the performances were good. I like the way it's shot. The CGI holds up. Even now, you watch it now compared to some movies where even a movies from a year ago or 2 years ago, CGI, you can see a little bit of the issues with the CGI there. I love Henry Cavill in this. That scene where he destroys the world engine is just... And then the Zod Superman fights and all of them. Faye-Aura was a good villain. And my God, just everything about Man of Steel is fucking amazing. And I'm happy I got to see that in theaters. So that's my number 2. Man, I didn't think anything would top Man of Steel, but it did with Zack Snyder's Justice League, or Justice League. The wait for this film, and like I said, I had a lot to say, and I'm probably going to do another video where I just continue the discussion, because there's just a lot. The stuff with Cyborg, it's like you compare it to Justice League, and it's night and day. Cyborg, they actually showcase how powerful he is. Steppenwolf had a backstory, and he was scary, he was badass looking. Him just wrecking Themyscira was just that is a villain. Getting to see Darkseid was fucking phenomenal. And Ray Porter is my favorite Darkseid voice. And I'm one who loves Michael Ironside from the animated series, but I'm sorry. Ray Porter's voice was that's an iconic villain voice. Next to that's some that's James Earl Jones Darth Vader type shit. That's a recognizable voice. Man, Superman's return. I love that we finally got to see Ben Affleck's growth, because that was another thing in Justice League that was cut out. They don't even really show you how, because no, Batman's just happy now, and we don't even explain why. Because in this, he has guilt, because of the way he treated Superman before. I really like it. Wonder Woman was redeemed, because after Wonder Woman 84, we actually got to see Wonder Woman be Wonder Woman, and even the opening scene where she didn't even have her sword was so much better than that whole movie. And Wonder Woman got to be a warrior, and her fights with Steppenwolf in this was kind of what I wanted to see more of with her and Ares, but in the first Wonder Woman movie. To me, this movie is Wonder Woman 2. In my eyes, this is a Wonder Woman 2. Because she got to kill on Steppenwolf. Aquaman got to be an actual warrior. Like, he wasn't just a surfer dude. You got to see Cyborg's backstory. The score was amazing. Superman's return. That shot of him flying up in the air in the black suit. Oh my god. Just everything. Everything about this movie. And, like I said, the road to this movie was good. It's just, Warner got scared and they felt like, we gotta do it like Marvel. And so I think the DCU, the biggest positive I could say, even with the shitty ones, is each movie has its own tone, unlike the MCU, where the earlier phases of the MCU had a different tone, but then, like, I would really say after Avengers / the first Guardians movie, everything just became that. We gotta make every character, like, all snarky. We gotta just have the same kind of formula for the movies. At least with this movie, we got to see, like, not just this movie, just even the bad ones, like I said, each movie feels different from each other. Even the Zack Snyder ones feel different from each other. So I can at least say that with a positive about the DCU. So that is my ranking. So my next video will be on Monday, where I will review Godzilla vs. Kong finally. And yeah. Take a hit out and peace out. Alright guys, I'll see you next time. Peace.